I call this meeting of the Millersville Council to order as of 6:00 p.m. Before we get started, just a few brief announcements. A reminder that today is Veterans Day, when we take time to honor the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, active duty, reservists, and National Guardsmen who've helped keep our country safe, preserve our freedoms. And also, it is with a heavy heart that I inform you all that Stephen Giberson, the husband of my Vice President Phyllis Giberson, passed last evening. So as we stand for the pledge and a moment of silence, I ask that you please keep them in mind. So if you would please now stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Please be seated. All right, we will begin with a motion to approve our minutes for the council meeting held October 28th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Give that one to Linda. Any discussion required on those minutes, corrections, anything like that? Very well. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the motion for those minutes, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? The motion will carry. At this time, council will hear any comments, requests, or concerns from our citizens or from the members of the public related to items on the agenda or other matters. You will have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you either please come to the microphone up here or ask that the microphone be brought to you. You will be limited to 5 minutes, and we ask that you give your name and a general address for the record. Would anybody at this time like to address council? Very well, then we will move on. We will start with Finance Advisory Committee. Would those members of the Finance Advisory Committee please indicate themselves by raising their hands? We don't have a quorum.
No, we don't.
All right. Well, in that case, we will have to wait until next meeting to approve our October financial report, which is not a problem. It just won't be coming out of committee. We should still discuss at least our 2026 proposed budget. Rebecca, you look pained.
Due to advertising requirements, it is somewhat essential that council were to vote the budget out of committee this evening.
So, according to bylaws or ordinance, does it have to come out of committee before it can be voted on by council, or can we open this up to council?
That's a council creation, so. No.
Very good.
It
Then
can be advertised before it's approved, correct?
we have to approve
Right.
the advertisement.
But
right?
we
Okay.
need that entire 30-day window to take
Well,
care of it.
this said additional consideration and approval of the budget out of committee. And then under the manager's report, it says authorization to advertise the budget.
Right, so ideally this evening, the finance committee would vote it out of committee, and then we would also vote to advertise this evening so that we have the entire 30 days before the December 9th meeting where council would be approving it.
Well,
Given extenuating circumstances, I think that this is something where we would need to open this up to the entirety of council to be able to get it voted through, so that we can get that advertisement done. Otherwise, it just becomes
we have a time constraint.
incredibly complex to try to, we'll have to add another meeting in somewhere and advertise that meeting. So we'll open this up outside of finance to get thoughts and opinions from anybody who's been keeping up with the budget. As it stands now, we really should decide on a review of the millage rate scenarios. I think given the status of our General fund, a millage rate of some amount is going to be required of us. There are no good decision, or there's no reasonable millage rate that brings us to a zero balance against our proposed expenditures for the general budget next year. With that being said, an increase similar to what we had last year, I believe that was 3/4 mil, is something that would certainly run us a deficit against what's in our general fund until we can see what the reassessment next year has in store for us. So that would be my recommendation, but I'm more than happy to hear from other members of council,
And may I just add a few things?
if you like.
So the budget that was presented to you all this evening in the backup included a couple of additional items, things to note based on our conversation at the last meeting. The first thing being that we did remove a couple of items that we had talked about could be postponed to future years, some of the sort of tech and office upgrades, and moving less to capital reserve. In the budget that you have in front of you this evening, the new numbers reflect a 3/4 mil assumption as a base for this evening. Based on the conversation last time, it sort of felt like that was the movement. So we did put that in so that you were able to see what that number would do to the rest of the budget.
Is that also reflected in our millage rate scenarios file?
Yes, also in that. The 3/4 mil increase does get the fund balance to a 3-month reserve, which is what the new policy that we put forward about protecting the borough's assets for an emergency situation of 3 months. 3/4 mil does get us right underneath of that 3-month safety net. So it does sort of fall in line with the new policy that council approved at the last meeting. The budget also assumes the trash increase, because it sounded like from the last finance committee meeting that the council was interested in moving that up a little bit to account for the fact that it hasn't been moved in many, many years.
Be much more aggressive than 3/4 and put more of a burden on, be much more aggressive than 3/4 and put more of a burden on the residents. But I think, at least according to these numbers, it's reasonably plain that some kind of increase is necessary. I would love to hear another voice.
Okay, you'll hear mine.
There we go.
I never like to go over 1/4 mil increase, and my philosophy has always been do a very small increase every year so you don't get yourself in a situation like we found ourselves last year and this year. That being said, I too don't see this year how we can avoid some sort of an increase. I just wish it didn't have to be that high, but I don't see a way out of it. So, anybody else want to opine, Mike?
No, I suppose it's connected with the sewers too, is it? Not
No,
really?
totally separate. Our sewer fund is totally separate, operates as an enterprise fund, which means that the money that comes in is only spent on sewer.
Okay. Otherwise, I agree with you, no one wants this at one time, but
Yeah, I was trying to game out scenarios, what modest increase each year could we take that over maybe 5 years or 10 years would get us back to something closer to a zero balance without running too much of a deficit in the general fund that puts us below that danger level that we had talked about before. And so that this cushions the blow a little bit, but we can't predict that.
My only comment is that we knew this last year. I mean, we've been kind of planning this.
Yeah, I mean, when we had our increase last year, we knew it wasn't gonna
We
bring
knew.
us back to zero and that there was probably going to have to be another increase this year. All right. As far as review of solid waste rate scenarios, do you want to walk us through that?
Yes, so that is sort of what we had talked about at the last meeting of making the change based on the fact that we were at the point where our solid waste fees were more than what we were bringing in. And even with the borough slightly subsidizing it, it was still not getting us to a point of break even in the solid waste fund. And that is also an enterprise fund, one where the money that comes in when people pay their trash bill, that is only spent on trash. So, or on trash collection, I should say. So tags, for the yellow tags as they're called, would be moved from $125 to $2.
$1.25, you mean?
Yes.
Thank you.
But they're technically only sold in each of 4, so that would be $8. Increasing the white goods, those are those blue tags for appliances, moving that up to $15. It's $12 right now, still cheaper than bringing it to the county. And the same thing for the green tags, increasing that to from $1.25 to $2. And you purchase those in a sheet of 4 for $8. So that's what we'd be looking at in terms of changes to help us break even in the solid waste fund for this year and have a balanced budget.
And that is in addition to our other proposed changes to our fee schedule, similar to what we did last year, is updating those costs to be more commensurate with the services required, take some of the burden off of the general taxpayer and more toward those individuals using the service or incurring those fees.
Yes, this year we really were only looking at one significant change, which was the fact that the council had approved a resolution earlier in the year to have a handicap parking application, and with that a fee, so we need to add that into the fee schedule, and that's a fee of $50 for someone who wants to apply for a specific handicap parking spot, street parking, I should say, obviously on your own property is fine. So that's really only the big change added into the fee schedule.
And without getting too far afield, we do have in place all of the mechanisms for following up with those handicap signs and other concerns that were brought up when we were talking about the draft ordinance.
Yeah, essentially the fee itself covers the placement of the sign.
All right, that I believe is all items for the proposed budget as presented. I am going to make a motion to approve it as presented, which would be that 3/4 mil increase, the increase to the trash collection of $12 up to $97, as well as the updates to our solid waste rates and the fee schedule to include our handicap parking permits. Do I have a second?
You do.
I'll give that one to Mary Ann. Any further discussion required on these items, again, for the whole of council? Very well. In that case, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Very good. The motion will carry, and we will move over to personnel.
Okay, roll call. Would you please raise your hand if you are on the Personnel Committee? I think we have everybody. Okay. The first item, I will make a motion to approve with regret the retirement letter of Bob Fry, who is one of our maintenance workers. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The next item is the approval to promote a current police officer to the role of investigator in the police department. As I understand it, this is a contractual item as well, that according to our contract, the police department can have this particular position. But is this a permanent position, or is this something that after an investigation ends, the person reverts back to patrolman, or?
Technically, in the contract, it is written as it being temporary, that when they finish
See
being an
that.
investigator. That's just the way it's written in the contract. May not necessarily be the way it is in practice, but that's
Well,
how it's
that's if
written.
they're appointed to the drug task force. That's a separate,
No, it is
That
in the
isn't the way
contract.
it's stated in the contract, though, Jeff.
Yeah, it's listed
There's-
as once the investigator assignment or the drug task force assignment ends, the officer would cease being paid as an investigator or a drug task force member.
But this can be an appointment that is ongoing, correct?
Right, there's nothing that prohibits that.
Okay,
If you remember, several years ago, we had 2 investigators for many, many, many years because of the level of investigations we've been doing. And when Jeff was promoted to chief, we went down to 1 investigator. We lost a couple of guys through retirements. So we've been trying to build that back up because Lieutenant Scott has been inundated with trying to keep things going and get these investigations done. And the chief has been helping him as much as he can. A lot of things are carrying over month to month, and he's doing it diligently, trying to get these things done. And you've seen the reports each month, how many investigations he is doing on his own. And with the recent hire and with some folks that are now going through the final stages of getting our department back into full position, as the contract says, this is an appointment to this position. And I just want to point out, it's not a promotion. Promotions are only done through civil service. This is an appointment to this position of investigator.
Okay.
That's a distinction that has to be made
okay.
clear.
Yeah, it isn't, that isn't the language that's on the agenda, so,
That's my
Right.
mistake, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's just verbiage, but it is important because a promotion to rank
Understand.
has to be done through civil service. This
and
is
you're
a
looking for 1 investigator, a current police officer.
Right, and I'll add one other very important point to this.
Okay.
Lieutenant Scott is eligible to retire next June. It is very important that we have someone move in there to be trained because he is a highly skilled investigator. I put his skills over the time I spent in investigations. That's how much I think of him. And it's really crucial we get someone in there that he can train if he chooses to retire next June when he can retire. It would be a huge problem for us to try to train somebody if he leaves.
Well, then, I will make a motion to approve the appointment of a current police officer to the role of investigator in the police department. Do I hear a second?
Second, okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved.
So that'll be out of committee.
Out of committee, yes. Both of those items are out of committee.
And then to clarify too, at the next meeting then, when it comes to the full council, will a name be available at that point?
We're hopeful, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
I just want to plan for that for the next edition.
Some work has to be done in the meantime. All the officers, I can apply for that, but hopefully we'll have a name at our next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
That's all for personnel?
That's all.
Very well. Then, stepping into the shoes of Vice President Giberson, the Vice Chair of our Public Welfare and Public Works Advisory Committee, Mike Koffel.
Do we have a roll call? Who's in that committee? Do we perform? Okay. I guess we're going to review the October codes and zoning monthly report, so.
Thank you. Good evening. So for October, we had issued 12 permits with 26 inspections. And we had 127 rental renewals with 129 inspections. In November so far, we issued 1 permit with 8 inspections. And we had 211 rental renewals with 10 inspections so far. Are there any other questions on the report?
Doesn't look like it.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Rob. That's all for Public Works, Mike?
Yes, that's it.
Very good. In that case, I will turn it over to you, Mayor Achel.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up today for veterans down at the park. It was extremely cold and windy, as we all found out. Thank you to Phil for the hard work you're doing for all the bricks. And I could say it was a phenomenal day. It really was. We had a great turnout. And hope that continues. I mean, I'm sure it will. I'm not sure how many years the borough's been doing this, but the amount of people that showed up today and the conditions that it was phenomenal.
Which elementary school was there? I forget.
Mardick
Martin.
Elementary. Yep.
How about the kid with shorts on? He should get a special free lunch or something. Twice.
Yeah, there was a few cold people, and he had to be the coldest one there.
No, it is always an amazing event. I was very sorry to miss out until I saw what the temperature was outside, and then I was a little less sorry, but still kind of sorry that I missed out. That's always well attended and very touching, so.
And I don't want to be remiss in shouting out Sue McCullough. She has done a phenomenal job over the years putting this together and getting these people
Absolutely.
together. And Emma Dene did a phenomenal job
Absolutely.
singing,
Very
so.
nice.
Yes.
Chief, do you have anything?
Nope, I think we covered it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now for the longer part of our evening, our manager's report. Rebecca, you want to take the wheel?
Sure. The first items are essentially procedural to keep us moving with the budget process. The first one is the request for the authorization to advertise the 2026 proposed budget as it was voted on this evening, and authorize the solicitor to send the necessary legal notice. The legal notice, we need to have it out for a certain number of days and make sure that the tax levy ordinance, which is next, is also out for the 30 days. So it's the second to last step in the budget process.
I will make a motion to authorize the advertising of the 2026 proposed budget and authorize the solicitor to send the necessary legal notice. Do I have a second?
Second?
Give that one to Linda. A lot of jinxes going on up here. I believe we've discussed through the budget sufficiently, but any last words on this before it moves forward? Very well. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? The motion will carry.
Thank you. We are in the home stretch of the budget process, and December 9th will be when council will have the opportunity to vote officially on the budget for next year. The next item, because council determined that they'd like to put forward a tax increase for next year, we need to have authorization for our solicitor to put the legal notice for the tax levy ordinance out so that that can be approved the same evening of the budget. So that's what we're looking for this evening.
Very well. I will make a motion to authorize the solicitor to provide legal notice of the tax levy ordinance to increase the tax millage rate to, what is the final number?
I don't want to tell it to you wrong.
I had it up on my screen a minute ago, but I kind of skitzed out here.
It would be 7.3.
All right, the tax millage rate to 7.3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion on this? I wouldn't think so, but very good. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? That motion will carry as well.
The next item, also somewhat procedural, is authorizing the drafting and the advertising of the proposed general fee schedule and solid waste fee schedule resolutions. Both of those fee schedules that were discussed this evening need to be voted on, also the same night as the budget, but those ones are both by resolution.
Also talked through well enough during finance, I believe, but I will make a motion to authorize the drafting and advertising of the resolutions allowing for the proposed updates of, to the general fee schedule and the solid waste fee schedule. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Very well. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? I believe that motion will carry as well.
The next item, in light of Bob's retirement from our street team, is the approval to advertise the maintenance worker 2 position. That job description was in your backup for today. We will follow our typical structure for advertising a maintenance worker 2 position, which would be to put it out internally for a week first, and then if no such candidates would arise, then put it out further.
Very well. I will propose a motion to authorize the advertising of the maintenance worker 2 position. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a hat trick now. That's 3 in a row. Any discussion on this one? Very well. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? The motion will carry.
All right, the next item is discussion and approval of a job description for administrative specialist position and approval to advertise.
Stand by.
As council's aware, we had a change in our staffing in terms of a vacancy in our finance department, finance officer position is how I should say it. So in looking at how we're currently handling the finance tasks in our office, and what seems to make the most sense, because unfortunately in the last 4 years, that position has been filled twice, and vacated somewhat shortly afterwards. So it's generally been challenging, I think, to find the right candidate with the skills and knowledge in government accounting, but handles both of the administrative tasks and the more finance accounting tasks. Because of sort of the struggle in this and figuring that out, and looking at what's going to serve the borough the best, what's going to serve our residents the best, I'm putting forward a new job description that would replace the finance officer position. This would be what I'd be calling an administrative specialist position. The job description was in your backup this evening. This would combine some of the old finance officer tasks, as well as some of the administrative tasks to make a full role. That would, like I said, replace that finance officer position. And this does kind of go hand in hand with the next item, so if it's okay, I'm going to talk about them somewhat together. Because the next item is talking about a proposal from SEK for some outsourced accounting services. As council probably already knows, SEK is currently our auditing firm. They've been our auditing firm since 2023. And their team, they've got a team of 4 individuals who, work very closely in our books. They have gotten to know certainly the accounting functions of the borough, policies, procedures. They tend to have a pretty good understanding by going through the audits. So in conjunction with the changing of the finance officer position, my professional recommendation is that the borough retain SEK for some outsourced accounting functions, specifically bank reconciliations, journal entries, and some other ancillary accounting tasks. Their proposal is in your backup, which goes over a little bit more of the detail about what we'd be looking at on a weekly, monthly, annual basis in terms of their assistance. In looking at the numbers and breaking it down based on salary savings and other things, we're looking at a slight increase in terms of our spending when you think of our spending on the accounting function of the borough. As we all understand, the government accounting is not typical. It's not necessarily regular that compared to a nonprofit or private sector accounting. So that we'd be looking at a slight increase in the interim, but in the long term, I think that we'd see some significant savings. One, significant savings on the audit itself, because we would be then looking at shorter audit periods, less time involved with those, spending, less money on the hours involved with that. As well as an opportunity, I think, to really have clean books, to be able to ensure that what we're looking at in terms of the revenue coming in and the expenditures going out are as accurate as possible. So we might be finding that there are additional areas of savings that we just don't see right now. And I also think that it would also allow for staff time to be spent on other things. I'll be honest, we've been spending a lot of time on cleanup. And that's been challenging and takes away from our ability to do other things, to work on enhancing resident services, supporting the council, all of those things. If council wants to go forward with this shift, we'd be looking at a new accounting firm, because certainly the firm that would be supporting us on the accounting side couldn't be the auditing firm, but SEK has offered to secure and make that transition for us, which we certainly would appreciate. Ideally, we will get to the point where this could be a revenue neutral or expenditure neutral sort of addition, where we're bringing down costs in other areas, and then it essentially comes out even ultimately. So that's what we'd be looking at in terms of a slight reorganization going on the administrative side of the borough.
I am not necessarily opposed, but I do have some questions.
Sure.
What was the salary for the position of finance officer that we are eliminating?
As of the 2025 spend or 2026 proposed spend?
2025 spend, because we're changing the position now to include an extra admin, removing that position, scattering the duties, some of them remaining in-house and the rest being outsourced at a cost to the borough. So in looking in the short term, I've seen the proposed salary for an additional admin. I've seen the proposal from SEK for their costs. I just want to know the raw number difference there, because we're going to be starting a little bit behind with that expenditure.
Right.
At a time where we're already running negative against our general fund.
Sure.
Now, the amount I imagine is going to be pretty insignificant compared to the deficits we're running. But with that being said, we want to try and make up where we can.
We think the exact number is going to be just around 13, but 10 to 15 is probably the range that we'd be looking at. That's just for 2026.
Right.
Ideally, we get to the point that that's even lower.
Yep, I don't want to, that's not the right thing to say. What is your confidence level that that amount is made up for in the various efficiencies that we're projecting with SEK? Because my other concern is that SEK was chosen in large part because it was less expensive than the next accounting firm. If we are making up money with time and efficiencies by using SEK to help with some of these items that are budget critical, is that going to be enough to make up for what I assume will be a price disparity between SEK and their competitor, essentially, that it would be taking over the service?
So the projection right now is by moving to a different, by retaining SEK for basically audit preparation and then moving to a different firm to do the actual audit itself, that we'd be saving a considerable amount of money because it would be essentially presenting what we would believe to be mostly clean books, because they would have been then prepared by the
In a
accounting
professional fashion, by
Right.
people who are
by a team
experienced in the.
of 4 people with CPAs.